Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Roast here with Jessica Bun Bun. All right, dearest gentle viewer, this is our reaction interview for Bridgerton Season 3, Part 2,
Mhm.
Episodes 5 through 8. There's a lot to get into here. I mean, of course, Penelope and Colin, but also Michaela, Francesca, that reveal? What does it mean?
It has set the fandom on fire. Everybody is talking about that Francesca reveal at the end of the finale. How are you guys feeling about it? Do you like the changes from the book? Are you not a fan? Let us know in the comments. We're going to get into how we feel about the changes. I mean, we're not book readers. We'll tell you that from the jump.
Yeah.
Like, we haven't read the Bridgerton series. So for us, we were like, okay, cool. This is what's going on the show. But then we saw Twitter just melting down. A lot of people that were very happy, lots of people that were really mad. Francesca is a beloved character from the novels, so people have been waiting a really long time for her. It's a mixed bag reaction out there, I'm gonna say. It's
Yeah.
fiery in those streets.
Okay, so speaking of fire, what I'm going to do here is somebody who has visited multiple fire themed television sets and once failed to accomplish a reality TV firefighting challenge. I'm
Mhm.
going to get on my mythical firefighter suit here because I'm going in, I'm going to start hosing some people down who are reacting in the wrong way to a lot of this. Bring me your fire because I am here to say I love the twist. I think it's interesting. I am really excited for what's going on here. For those of you who don't know, this is not a huge spoiler. We'll leave the big spoilers out of it. In the books, Michaela was Michael.
Mhm.
There's a pretty interesting reason why this twist is being introduced here. There may be a possible romance between Michaela and Francesca coming up.
For me, I am fine with the twist. What I'm never fine with and never that interested in is people cheating. And because I haven't read the books and I don't know exactly what's coming up, and if you know, please don't tell me. She is now married to John. Francesca and John are together, and it is a pairing that I really like and I've really enjoyed. I
Mhm.
think there's something really special about the quietness of their relationship. And that has been a big theme this season, where it's like everybody's love is crazy and lightning bolts from the sky. And then here comes Francesca and John, who just have this really nice, quiet romance and understanding of each other that I've just been like, man, they are a breath of fresh air. So bring in the cousin, and I'm kind of like, I just don't want to see their relationship torn apart. So hopefully that's not the way that they're going to go.
Yeah, it's a weird thing to say what I'm about to say because I'm not rooting for a character to get killed off here or be written off or John takes some job halfway around the world and he's never able to come back and he and Francesca aren't able to make it work, but I am rooting for some sort of like tangible reason why their relationship ends or goes south. That way, if there is something with Michaela, they can just make it happen without all of the nastiness associated with cheating that nobody wants, and then we can have something resembling a happy ending here.
Yes.
All right, before we do go any further here, because there's still more to say about this Michaela twist, let alone everything with Colin and Penelope,
Mm-hmm.
be sure to smash that like button and also subscribe because we have more Bridgerton coverage coming here in addition to
Mm-hmm.
a lot of really exciting stuff. This is a very busy time for us here at the channel.
Also, if you just want more Bridgerton content or to talk to us about the show, we have lives over
Yeah.
at our Patreon. We have other content over at our Patreon. We have part one of our Bridgerton review over on our Patreon as
Yeah.
well. We'll leave a link for you down below if you want to help support the channel. It's a great way to support the channel and get more Bridgerton content. Okay.
Yeah.
It's so interesting going into this review, which is a whole season that's really about Colin and Penelope, this huge reveal. She is out as Whistledown,
Yeah.
all of these things that have happened, but the Francesca of it all is what anyone is talking about.
I think so much of it just has to do with Bridgerton follows a very strict sort of romantic formula. And because we've seen
Yes.
it for 3 seasons now, we all know what the formula is. So it's a little bit like cheating on the math test. Like we know all the answers coming in, and then out of left field, somebody has thrown this giant slice of history, to use like a school metaphor here, into a math test, and we're like, what is this? We don't know this. We don't understand this. For me, what excites me about the idea of bringing in a character like Michaela now is that we've seen a lot of different dynamics on Bridgerton before and how they
Mhm,
play out through the lens of the public.
mhm,
We haven't seen the idea of this, a public romance potentially
mhm,
between two women. We don't know what that reception's going to be
mhm,
like. As broad as Bridgerton sort of is in a way, it's
mhm,
also very insular, where we don't really see a lot outside of this community and Queen Charlotte's reign and all of that sort of good
mhm,
stuff. This is a really interesting opportunity to see if these two become something, how it develops, how people react to it. I do always like the, oh, we're secret lovers trope that happens in a lot of
mhm.
these romances, where it eventually becomes public, but they play around with how they want to do it. Like that's always really fun. I think there's just so much potential here.
And I think that's what has made Bridgerton so successful, is that secret, they're on the sly, not everybody knows about it and
Yeah.
all of that, right? I mean, they've played with it every single season so far. So when they had first come out with the trailer for this season, it's like, this ending is going to be like nothing you guys have ever seen before. At first, I was kind of worried. I was like, oh no, are they just going to leave us with some sort of cliffhanger? We're not going to have a happy ending for Penelope and Colin. No, of course, we're going to have the happy ending
Yeah.
for them. But the curveball is this Francesca storyline. And it really, it was a pretty good season for Penelope and Colin. And while I'm not the biggest Colin fan, and I have said that before, I am a really big Penelope fan. So I want her happiness. And she ended this season with everything she could possibly want. She got married to Colin. Their relationship is good. He knows about Whistledown. She's, come out as, I'm Whistledown, and now she's Penelope, the writer. This is the last that we will have probably heard from Julie Andrews
Oh.
dictating as Whistledown. But it is nice that that part of the story is all wrapped up. They have a son together. Everything is really great. So it's kind of like getting ready for the next season. Who are we really going to be talking about? Francesca.
Yeah, it feels that way. You put an ending like this at the end of the season, and it's the sort of thing that I at least would think everybody's going to want to dive into and explore almost immediately. Like, sure, you can try to slow play it if you want and focus on some other characters, but this is going to be the thing that people are talking about. I think that's
Yep.
inevitable based on where you put it at
Yeah.
the end of the finale. You basically have already said, and this is why I feel like this is a fine season for Penelope and Colin. Like they had their moments, but they don't even get to be the most memorable part of their own finale.
Yeah, and I mean, the fact that they had a bit of a time jump at the end of this, where it is, they're happy, they're together, they have a son. It's about a year later, everything is a bit different. When we're going into the next season, because there's this time jump, it'll be interesting to sort of see how everybody comes back together, because Francesca and John have left the estate, they've gone to his estate. Eloise has gone with them. Of course, the cousin is there as well. So it'll be interesting to sort of see when everybody comes back together, why they're coming all back together, and what the dynamic is at that point. Because if something is going to develop here with Francesca and Michaela, it's like, has it developed in this time period, in this jump? Is John still around? Is there something nefarious going on behind the scenes with these two? Like, how are they really going to play it out? Francesca is just, for me, not a character that would be sneaking around on anybody. Like, she's very sort of reserved in her way.
Mhm.
She's a quiet person, and I just can't see her really doing something like that.
For me, the show needed a time jump. They needed a chance to reset a lot of the stories just because there are a lot of them that just felt, fine, happy. A lot of things are tied up. I know having Kate and Anthony in this season was important just
Hmm.
for paying off everything in season
Yeah.
two, but they never really gave them that much to do. It
No.
was their whole story is, look how happy we are. Should we tell everyone we're having a baby? Should we go back to India? Like, what do we do? And that was sort of the big recurring theme over and over again. I want more drama in Bridgerton across all different directions. And here, okay, put on your hard hats,
Oh
everybody.
my goodness. Okay.
The MVP of this season, I can't believe I'm about to say this, is Cressida.
I
Cressida
know
is
she
the MVP.
was. Are we ever going to see her again? Who knows?
I want to see her again. You know why? Because all of these other people are just a little bit too uptight for my taste a lot of the time. I like somebody who is basically a wrecking ball, who is coming in there. And what she does, she's not malevolent. Cressida's just a woman who is extremely unhappy with her
Hmm.
situation for a pretty understandable reason. She sees a way out of it. If nobody else is willing to be Lady Whistledown, why not I? Why not I come out and say that I'm doing it, not realizing that Charlotte is just going to be like, prove it on the other side of it. But I like how she was willing to mix things up. And yes, she does some things, especially in the finale, that a lot of us are not particularly keen to like. But we need villains in this show as much as we need heroes.
Well, and the thing that I love about her as well is that she's not all bad or
Mhm.
all good. And she's one of the few characters that feels like a real human where there are faults in her, but there's also good stuff. And yeah, nobody likes that by the end of it when she figured out that Penelope is Whistledown, that she's like, pay me or else, I mean,
Yeah.
she's someone who's in a desperate situation. She doesn't want to be sort of cast out of society. She certainly doesn't want to be married to this guy. She wants to just have enough money to be able to figure things out for herself and figure out her own life. And while it's not the best way she's going about it, I mean, Penelope was like, yeah, let's just pay her. And Colin's like, no way. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, you're not going to pay me? Okay, well, now it's going to be double. And you're going to write nice things about me. And he really like messed it up.
Colin's a terrible negotiator. I'm just going to throw that
Oh,
out there right
Colin.
now. I mean, you have some very valuable skills, Colin. I suggest do not get into diplomacy. My favorite moment for Cressida in these entire 4 episodes is before her entire lie here is sort of figured out. She just goes to the ball in that, red outfit with those enormous, like, puffy sleeves on this. What a serve. Like, look
I
at
know.
you, Cressida. Not only are you going to this place you're not wanted, you're wearing, like, the biggest outfit possible. You're making a whole scene. You've realized on some level that this lie you're telling is also a way of power, because I think while Penelope had some questions about her writing ability, I think Cressida was sort of smart enough to figure out in due time that people live for drama in this world. And I think it's because everybody is so buttoned up that the idea of having someone out there who's not like that, they're basically living out the dream of everybody else. Like, there's such a romanticized idea about that in itself.
That's why I thought it was such an interesting conversation where the queen was really hearing, what is the end game here with Whistledown? You want to take her down.
Yeah.
Okay, then what? Once you've done that, then what? Then there's no more games that you get to play. There's no more gossip happening. There's no more back and forth. There's no more anything. So like, where is it that you really want to get to just so that you can say you were right and then go back to the doldrums of life? Like, you've felt more alive in the past while dealing with Whistledown and, you getting one over on her and her getting one over on you, that you've been feeling like you're part of something instead of just the boredom of picking another diamond every single year. She's done with it. So I really liked this sort of reveal at the end where Penelope's like, I'm going to fix all this.
Yeah.
Cressida's not going to get my money. She's not going to ruin the Bridgertons' reputation. I'm just going to write a letter to the queen. I'm going to be like, yo, it's me. Let's meet up at this ball that I paid for my sister so that they can have their moment. Everything's going to be wiped away with this lawyer from my mom. And I'm just going to come out and tell her what's going on. So to have the queen be like, okay, here I am. It's Penelope. What do you have to say? I loved seeing at the end of that speech that the queen was basically like, I'm looking forward to reading your next, issue. We're going to keep on moving on. Let's see how it goes.
it's sort of this show's revelation that's similar to the revelation we all have on the outside when we start getting into a reality show where we're sort of sitting back and being like, do we want to tell everybody else that we're watching reality shows? Do I need to go out on the street and tell everybody I've seen like 4 international versions of The Traitors? No, but at the same
Or that
time,
I've watched every episode of Catfish.
there you go. But we
I
all,
don't mind saying that. I will scream it from the rooftops. I love Catfish.
well, this is the catfish for Queen Charlotte in this world. What are you gonna do when you take away your Regency era Neve Schulman? Like, there's nothing that's really going to be as interesting in your world anymore. And I think there's just such a maturity that sort of comes out of this evolution of, okay, we need this to be a part of our life. Are they going to say things occasionally that we don't like? Sure. And that's where we throw popcorn at the metaphorical TV screen and we get upset, but we're still going to be there to watch the next episode.
Yeah, and that's why I love that the queen got a win and a win. Like, she got everything she wanted. She was able to be the person who called out Whistledown. Of course, Penelope gave her, all the information, but she was able to do it publicly. So she got her win, but she's still going to get her gossip.
Okay, now I already had the hard hat on. I'm putting the beef hat on now.
Oh, let's have a beef. Okay. Is it bigger than your beef that I have with Colin?
Okay, see,
Are we going to get into the Benedict of it all?
we're going to get into the Benedict of it
Because
all.
that's my biggest beef of this
'Cause-
season.
What a okay, as somebody who does love drama and somebody who does love messiness, there has to be a method behind the madness as opposed to let's do this now. Here's Benedict, here's 2 other people. Let's do some stuff. It just,
Over and over and over again.
yeah, it just didn't feel necessary. I mean, we're not book readers, as we said. I mean, we know that there's a larger story eventually coming for Benedict, and that's going to be the focus at some point. But it feels a lot like the writers just felt like, okay, we need to continue to incorporate Benedict in this story somehow so that people remember that he's there, but you give him this.
Listen, they did not know what to do with him this season. And I feel like this is just, tinfoil hats on.
Yeah,
Next
yeah.
season has got to be the season of Benedict. It really has to be at this point. I mean, mostly everybody's married off or doing their own thing. And he's really the character, especially after this season where it just felt like, yeah, they didn't know what to do with him. So they're like, okay, we're going to have this experimentation going on with him. And we're going to see that, he's feeling really good about being free and being out there and doing whatever he wants. And because we saw him by the end of this season with Tilly, where she's like, listen, like, I thought I wanted to live that same lifestyle as you, but I actually just want to be with you. Where Benedict is like, no, I appreciate that, but I do want this lifestyle. So if he's sort of the bachelor that cannot be caught, is it time for his season to be next season where can he be caught? I don't know. Or is it more of him sort of experimenting with his life and who he really wants to be? But they did not do a very good job this season of really showing that. I mean, they could have shown that in that one scene. It felt like every time I was getting into another scene where it's like, oh, here's, Penelope and Colin, everything that's going on. Oh, the Whistledown secret's out. Oh, this is happening. Then we're just going to cut away to Benedict in bed and then cut away to something else that's really important to the storyline. And then all of a sudden we're back in bed with Benedict. And I was just like, I don't need to be in bed with him this much. Do you guys just feel like you don't have enough bedroom scenes this season? Like you don't know what to do with him? There's a lot that they could have done with him. Benedict's a very compelling character. And I feel like he was just kind of done dirty where they just didn't give him enough.
Well, and you guys have also put me in the position where, looking forward to next season, I'm around 90% make it Francesca and 10% make it Benedict. But that's just because you've made the Francesca story a lot more interesting. If Benedict is going to be the focus next season, you better do something interesting to make me really, really excited for it over the next several months. I mean, we're probably not getting season 4 until 2026. Like, you've got your time in order to try to find a way to patch this up, but I thought there were pretty big issues with Benedict. Also, a lot of this stuff did get wrapped up pretty big, pretty fast.
I know.
Moment that, oh, this is the real Lady Whistledown. Colin's upset about it for maybe half an episode, and then he moves on. Everything is fine. Everybody under Queen Charlotte's court, they all just seem to accept it. She did really shatter a lot of lives, destroy a lot of relationships. She did a lot of bad stuff.
Right? And when it was Cressida, everyone was like, oh, shutting her out of town, goodbye. But now that it's Penelope, and because the queen is basically like, okay, you know what? You did a bad thing, but if you want to continue, you can continue on as yourself, but try to be a little bit nicer. It's just like, now it's okay because the queen's blessing is on it. But when it was Cressida, it was not okay. It's kind of like, guys, it's still writing gossip about people. So either it's okay or it's not okay.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's behind writing it. You guys all paid to read it.
Yeah, it sort of just feels like the show is doing the equivalent here of, a really cute puppy comes in and just like barfs on the carpet, and you're just like, oh, you really love the puppy. So you're just like, oh, it's okay. You're beloved. It's all, we're going to forgive you. And you don't like this other person who just shows up at the party and barfs on the carpet. And you're just like, get out.
How dare you?
It's just because everybody seems to like Penelope and, they like other people around her.
And they like the Bridgertons.
They're willing to just be very, very forgiving. And I'm sure another part of this is to function that this is only an 8-episode season. But it really just did feel like the ending for this was pretty rushed, so that everybody did have to get patched together and happy so that we move on. And this is where Bridgerton, it is fun, it is escapism, but it's also a show that has a really hard time moving to that next echelon of amazing TV, because it is fundamentally the same format every season.
Yeah, and I think for me, season 3 was easily the weakest for me. And I think, well, for me, it's about Colin. I just have never really liked the character of Colin. I don't like the way he treats Penelope. I haven't liked it over the season. Their friendship just felt very one-sided. It felt like she was putting a lot into him and he wasn't really putting back into her. That by the time we got to this, I was just like, I knew it was coming. I knew this was going to be the romance. And there is something that's really wholesome about two childhood friends that then later in life, friendship foundation turns into romance. I love that story. And I love Penelope, but I was just always sitting back being like, girl, you can do better. Like he is not where it's at. And the way that he was treating her about being Whistledown, I understand, he's hurt. And, Whistledown wrote terrible things about the Bridgertons and on. I get all that. But then you're still going to marry her and then kind of punish her by, you're going to have your wedding night and you're going to be sleeping on the couch. It's just like, postpone it or make it more satisfying for me as a viewer watching, where it's like, oh, these two have been trying to get married, and they had this long friendship and now it's romance and now we're at the wedding. That to have him sleeping on the couch, it was so unsatisfying and it just didn't feel like the buildup just didn't make it. I think season 2 just set the bar so high that there was no way to get higher than that bar.
It's a really big problem when you have characters like Kate and Anthony, and just the chemistry between the two of them is just like so extreme and next level, and we know the format now.
And the payoff was really good, where it's like, oh, we finally reached it. They're at the marriage. And it's like, and now I'm sleeping on the couch. I was like, wah, wah, wah. Like, this just was not great.
And in the midst of all of this, they did not do Coldplay proper, and having them be the song at the wedding. I am a Coldplay defender, and
I
yet,
know you
while
love
they were
them.
playing this instrumental Coldplay, I was sitting here and being like, something bad is gonna happen. So I wasn't enjoying the Coldplay as much as I already was, because we all knew that the Whistledown secret was going to come out, that it had to basically be public by the end of this season, because too many people were sort of circling around it. So there was no way to not have this happen.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was going to have to come out this season, but that secret now being out and now it being written by Penelope out in the open, it's like, well, how many secrets is she now really going to want to reveal? Because now it's her. People can come at her. It's going to be a bit different in society, her writing as herself and pulling apart people's lives. Like, it feels like the writing would change. She wouldn't be quite
Yeah.
as bold to say things about people when now they know. They just go knock on her door and be like, "How dare you? Like, you don't know me. Like, stop it," sort of thing. That she's going to start getting ostracized from society. Or she's going to have to change her writing a little bit. And going into next season, now that that secret is out there and
Hmm.
everybody knows it, I'm really concerned about what this season is really going to be about. What is the big secret going to be? Just Francesca?
Yeah.
Maybe.
It
They
could be.
need something else.
I hope they do give something more to Penelope on the other side of this, because everything you just mapped out for her, that's an interesting story. That would be the most interesting story that any of these couples following their big get together moment have had on this show, because we really didn't have that much, like I said earlier, with Kate and Anthony. Like, this could be interesting, but of course, you also need something more than that. So, Bridgerton, get to work on pleasing all of us lords and ladies in Bridgertondom.
Oh my goodness. I will say that I am really happy that Penelope and Eloise have figured out their
Mhm.
relationship and that they are friends again, because it was
Yeah.
really difficult watching that friendship fall apart. It's part of what I've really enjoyed. Of course, I love the romance of it all, but I love the friendship. Like, here's two young women in society that are just not really necessarily looking for love. They are both thinkers and readers and writers, and they just have this connection that nobody else has. So for them to be pulled apart is, it broke my heart. So it was
Yeah.
really great to see them come together and defend each other and really work together to be able to get this secret out there and sort of have things resolved. And now they're sisters.
Yeah. And I think there's potential for them to have some escapades moving forward. I mean, there's different ways for the secret to now work now that it's not a secret anymore, but we will wait and see what Bridgerton has in store for us. But be sure to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button. It helps us out so much in the algorithm.
Mhm.
Also, for more Bridgerton content, join our Patreon. We have a link in the description below for that. And thank
Mhm.
you as well to all of our patrons for your support.
Mhm.
We will see you guys here next time.